of my favorite ways to catch bass is by fishing vegetation, by fishing grass. And it's very easy to watch Bassmaster Elite Series events or Major League Fishing events where guys are absolutely cracking the bass.
There we go, Wes. Yeah!
But then you get to the lake and it seems like you fish miles and miles of grass and you don't catch anything. So today, I just want to tell you kind of the reality and give you some actual perspective of what finding bass looks like. So stay tuned, it's going to be a good one. This video is brought to you by the Deep Dive app. This is an app that you can download on your phone that helps you to locate and catch bass a lot quicker. Once you get to the body of water that you are fishing, you can select that lake. You can also add in the water temperature, the water clarity, whether you're fishing around vegetation or in a windy or protected area. And then the app is going to spit out some strategies and lures that you can use to start attacking the water. There's a free version of this app and a paid version of this app. And if you would like to download it, you can click that link down below in the description and greatly help support the Bass Fishing HQ channel. In this video, I'm actually going to leave a timestamp right here and I'm going to show you what 3.5 hours looks like and exactly what I did in my day to go out there and catch a few bass. Now the lake that I am fishing has a tremendous amount of grass and I basically knew that I was going to either catch them frogging, flipping, or on a chatterbait. But I had no idea what these bass are doing. I've not been to this lake in a long time. So I actually started on the main lake and I actually spent a lot of time fishing the main lake. I stopped on several areas that just looked really good to me, areas that had really clean water, areas that had really good looking vegetation that was green and crispy. And these were also areas that when I would stop, I would listen for bluegill. And in all of these areas that you kind of see me stopping at and fishing, I would actually hear bluegills and even see bluegills popping the surface. This is something that I always look for when I'm fishing grass situations because bass feed on bluegill a lot of times in grass. So if you can hear those bluegill popping, a lot of times that means that there are going to be bass close by. So as you can see, I went to several different areas on the lake and a half an hour passes by, an hour passes by, an hour and a half passed by. And as you can see here, I just continue to move. I'm really only fishing places for about 15 to 25 minutes, but I keep the trolling motor on high the entire time. I really can't stress how important it is to do this when you go out there fishing. Just keep moving. Now, if you are a bank fisherman who doesn't have a boat, this is something that you can still do. But when I say keep moving, that means just keep walking down the bank. Keep looking for a pod of fish somewhere. That is what I am trying to do in this video. I'm trying to locate a small school of fish or a small area that maybe have a lot of fish in it. So as you can see here, almost 2 hours have passed by and I have not had a single bite. Again, this is the reality of bass fishing. And then I went into a small area, which was kind of the mouth of a major spawning area, and this is what happened. As you can see, I caught a small keeper right here, but anytime I catch a fish, it is so important to put the brakes on because like I've said in so many videos, a lot of times bass are going to gang up. They're going to school up, even when you're fishing really shallow. So I always try to put the brakes on and I always give myself about a 15-minute rule. I'm going to fish that area very effectively for about 15 minutes. And really what I'm looking for is to catch another fish. If I can catch another fish, then there's a good chance there might be a whole school in that area. Now, if 15 minutes passes me by and I don't get another bite, that is when I'm going to kick that trolling motor back on high and continue covering water. But the one thing that you want to also make sure you do when you catch a fish is just examine everything that is happening. For instance, this one fish gave me several clues as to what I may need to go do. The first major clue that it gave me were kind of the whereabouts of where I caught this fish. Like I talked about, it was at the mouth of a major spawning area, kind of closer to the main lake. So in my mind, I'm thinking of all the different mouths of areas, mouths of spawning bays that I could go hit next, because maybe I can find a pattern as to where the bass are. The next major clue that I got is where exactly in that scum mat that fish had hit me, because I was fishing the entire scum mat from where it hits the land all the way out to the edge. And as you can see, that fish actually hit me right on the edge. So maybe those bass are actually positioned on the edge, and that might mean that I need to start focusing a lot more time on fishing that edge. Now, one thing that you may not notice is I had been working this frog really fast. I mean, basically just reeling it across those mats, trying to locate a fish. And when this fish hit, I had actually looked across at the other side of the lake, and I had stopped that frog, and that bass came up there and smacked it. So maybe those fish are actually liking a frog to be very still. So all these things are running through my mind as soon as I catch a fish. So after fishing in this area for another 20-25 minutes, I realized that there is not a school with this fish, but that bass still gave me some clues. So what I decided to do was go on the other side of this bay, on the other side of the mouth of this spawning area, and fish the other side to see if maybe those fish are just relating to the mouth. So if you notice here, as I am fishing, instead of just constantly reeling that bait now, I am pausing it from time to time, and I'm just letting it sit, because that bass hit it when it was sitting. And so sometimes I've seen where bass get really specific as to how they want that frog. So I'm still working this bait fast, I'm still covering water, but I'm still pausing that bait from time to time, hopefully so I can get another bite. Now, within about 10 minutes of fishing this other side, this happened. So although I missed that fish, it was still a bass bite. So in that situation, I put the brakes on. Again, I actually put the power bowls down in this situation, and you can see I really spent my time to effectively fish that area that is really close by. Because again, there's a lot of times where you're going to find a big school of bass in these grass situations. Now, another thing that bass told me was that my frog was moving when he hit, but he was still on the edge of that grass. So now I'm really starting to think that these bass are going to be relating to the edge, but it may not matter how exactly I am working that bait. So after about another 10 minutes of working this area, I actually picked the power poles up and I started to move forward very slowly. I was still kind of in that 15-minute time frame, and then this happens.
There we go, baby. Just a solid one, not a giant.
So as you can see, I caught another fish and it gave me another clue. Now the clues that I saw this time was this fish was actually way far back in that scum mat. It was actually in a shade line almost touching the bank. And I actually, as that bait was skipping into that area, that bass actually came up there and hit it. What that bass told me was that these bass could really be anywhere in these mats. They could be all the way against the shore, and they can be on the edge where I've had a couple other bites. But the other thing that bass told me was there might be a small group of bass in this area, because that is 2 bites now within about 10 minutes. So again, because I caught a fish in this situation, I'm going to give this area another 15 minutes of very thorough fishing. I can't explain how important that is. This is how you can kind of get rich quick in a hurry when it comes to fishing. So while still being in kind of this 15-minute thorough time slot, this is what happened. So now I have had 3 bites pretty much within about a 25 or 30-minute span. And this, to me, guys, is what grass fishing is all about. Because I had gone 2 hours without getting a bite, and then I got a bite and it gave me a clue. And that clue actually gave me the idea to go to this area where in 30 minutes, I basically had 3 other bites. Now, if I had landed all of those fish, that would be great, but I still kind of am starting to put together a pattern and a area where these fish could potentially be. Now, again, after fishing for about 15 minutes in this area, I actually did not get a bite this time. So I actually kicked the trolling motor back on high and started covering a lot of water. And this time I'm actually working kind of into this pocket a little bit further. And I've started to see now that I'm really only getting bit at the mouths of these areas. So in my mind, I'm starting to think of other mouths of spawning areas that I could go and run to. And so that's exactly what I did. I got down in the driver's seat and I started trolling over to another area that looked very similar. Once I got to that area, I fished it for about a 30-minute time frame and I did not get one bite, no blowups, nothing. So at this point in time, I'm also wondering in my mind, is the frog the best way to catch these fish? Because maybe I'm actually passing over fish that are actually in these areas, but they don't want to eat a frog. So what I wanted to do was go back to that group of fish that I had found and actually start flipping in that area, because if I can go to that area and get a lot of flipping bites, then maybe those fish are more in a flipping mood than a frogging mood. So as you can see, I went back to that area where I had got the bites frogging, and I actually didn't catch any fish or get any bites while flipping. And in my mind, that told me these fish will probably hit a frog if I am around them. So that really just gives me the confidence to continue fishing that frog the rest of the day. But unfortunately, at this time, my day was over. I had to get off the water. So I ended the day with 2 keepers, 1 missed fish, and 1 lost fish. But I kind of started to put together a pattern as to where these fish were. And if I had had more time in this day, I would have continued to run that pattern to try to find more groups of fish. But guys, this is what grass fishing looks like. This is actually what all fishing looks like. A lot of times you are going to go hours on end without catching bass. And of those 4 bites that I got, pretty much all of them came within 50 minutes of each other. That is what fishing is all about. It's keeping your head down, continuing to move until you start picking up clues and catching fish. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please let me know down below in the comments. Please like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.